The narcissist is sure that he is the puppeteer, and you are just a puppet whose strings he pulls through guilt and fear of loss. He spent months studying your pain points, but he forgot one detail. The puppeteer is completely dependent on his doll. As soon as you cut the strings of your fear and begin to mirror his own methods, his world collapses. We will expose the mechanics of Machiavellian self-defense, where your complete indifference becomes a deadly weapon and your silence becomes a sentence for his sick vanity. The time has come to swap roles and drive the predator into the cage of his own madness. You will stop being a resource and become a hunter who knows every next step of this emotional parasite, even before he takes it. You feel this mental noose tightening around your neck with every one of his insinuating words. This feeling of lack of oxygen is not an illusion, it is the result of the narcissist systematically pumping the life out of your space to fill his own internal void with it. Your temples throb from cognitive dissonance. You remember the facts, you remember his promises, but he looks you straight in the eyes with icy calm and declares that this never happened. At this moment, you feel the ground slip from under your feet and you begin to fall into the rabbit hole of his madness. Your body goes numb and your mind feverishly seeks logic where there is none and cannot be any. The narcissist does not seek truth. He seeks your total submission, and your confusion is the first stage of your transformation into a compliant tool. Your skin literally burns from injustice when he attributes his own vices to you. This is projection, the favorite weapon of a predator. You feel dirty when he accuses you of selfishness, lies, or manipulation, even though he is the source of them. You feel a physical weight in your shoulders, as if a sack of stones consisting of his complexes, which he successfully shifted onto your dignity, has been piled on you. Your stomach tightens in a spasm when you enter the room where he sits because you already read the atmosphere of threat at the level of instincts. You have become an expert on his facial expressions. You have learned to predict a storm by the slightest movement of his eyebrows, and this hypervigilance burns out your brain, leaving you in a state of eternal burnout. Feel this sticky cold sweat that breaks out on you when he begins the ice shower, a sudden change from favor to anger without an apparent reason. You feel like a non-entity who must beg for crumbs of former favor. Your heart pounds like crazy when he goes silent for several days, punishing you with silence. This is the torture of isolation in miniature. You feel how your need for his approval becomes a narcotic addiction, and he is the only dealer in this city. Your pain gives him almost erotic pleasure because through your torment, he is convinced of his own divinity. You feel yourself splitting. One part of you still remembers who you are, and the second is already ready to crawl on its knees just to make this hell stop. Remember that nauseating feeling in your throat when you try to scream about your pain, but only an intermittent whisper comes out of your mouth, which he immediately mocks. The narcissist devalues your feelings as easily as if he were brushing dust off a sleeve. You feel your significance tending towards zero while he swells from his own importance. Your joints ache from suppressed anger, which you are forbidden to express because any defense of yours is declared inadequacy or mental instability. You feel trapped in a hall of mirrors where every exit is blocked by his distorted perception of reality. Your will to live weakens, giving way to apathy, which is exactly what he wants, so that you become pliable clay in his cruel hands. You feel your social ties breaking one after another because he has imperceptibly poisoned your relationships with friends and loved ones. This is a social castration performed under the guise of caring for you. You feel the icy cold of loneliness, realizing that now you are one-on-one with this monster in human form. Your thoughts go in a closed circle. You endlessly replay dialogues in your head, trying to find the very words that will make him understand your value. But realize the terrible truth: he understands everything. He sees your value, and that is exactly why he wants to destroy it. He does not need a partner. He needs a slave whose radiance will not eclipse his own dull soul. Your suffering is his only way to feel alive, and he will not stop until he drinks you dry. Feel your nerves stretched to the limit, vibrating from the slightest rustle. You live in a state of constant siege, waiting for when he will again use your trust against you. You feel a physical pain in your chest when he devalues what is dear to you. Your achievements, your dreams, your personality. This is a mental murder that is committed slowly, drop by drop, every day. Your memory begins to fail you because your brain is trying to protect itself from trauma. And in this foggy zone, the narcissist feels like a master. He rewrites your biography, makes you guilty of his failures, and you feel your reality cracking at the seams. This is a total destruction of your sovereignty, which you mistook for a complex relationship. Your face in the mirror seems foreign to you. You see there the tired eyes of a person who has forgotten how to smile without permission. Your posture has changed. You involuntarily pull your head into your shoulders, trying to become smaller, more inconspicuous, so as not to provoke his anger. You feel your life forces going into maintaining this fragile peace which collapses at his very first whim. You have become a shadow of yourself, a ghost that wanders around the house, afraid to disturb the master's peace. Your pain is the cry of your true self, which is locked in the basement of your consciousness under the lock of his manipulations. But this pain is your only ally, and it tells you that you are still alive. Feel how this black, cold rage begins to boil inside you. This is not the anger that makes one scream. It is the anger that makes one act. You feel your heart begin to beat in a new hard rhythm. Your humiliation has hit rock bottom, and now you have only one way up through his wreckage. You feel icy calculation begin to flow in your veins instead of fear. You will no longer ask him to change. You will not look for logic in his lies. You will accept him as a natural disaster from which one does not ask for mercy, but builds a bunker. Your pain turns into steel armor, your despair into the sharply honed blade of your new indifference. Feel your mind being cleared of his toxic suggestions. You begin to see him not as a great puppeteer, but as a broken machine that reproduces the same primitive cycles. Your weakness was in your ability to empathize, but now you take that ability back. You feel yourself gaining density, becoming impenetrable to his gaslighting. You are no longer a puppet whose strings are pulled at the word guilt. You are a sovereign who has reclaimed the right to your memory, to your feelings, and to your truth. Your body straightens, your shoulders spread, and you feel the air begin to flow into your lungs again. This is the beginning of the end of his power over you. Your path to freedom lies through total emotional reset. You must become a gray stone for him, boring, lifeless, and absolutely useless for his appetite. You feel how your indifference becomes your main weapon. You no longer give him the reactions he has fed on for years. You look at him as if at a blank space, and you feel his grandiosity begin to deflate without your support. Your silence now is your manifesto of strength. You're no longer in his game. You have created your own reality where his voice is just the noise of the wind outside the window. Feel this triumph of your awakened consciousness. You have cut the threads, you have stepped out of the circle, and now you yourself dictate the conditions of your existence in this cold, but now absolutely your world. Stop looking for human sparks in this creature. There is nothing there but the cold machinery of consumption and the thirst for control. You are committing strategic suicide when you try to project your values onto a predator whose emotional range is limited to only 2 states: grandiose triumph or the rage of a non-entity. In the world of Machiavellian power, a narcissist is a defective algorithm that sees in you not a personality, but a software environment for launching its ego. Yourself for him is just a warehouse of resources that he intends to plunder to the last brick. We are not here to discuss complex relationships. We are here to perform a total deconstruction of your tormentor and turn his control system into his own prison. The first stage of his attack is information reconnaissance, which you foolishly took for soulful closeness. Remember those long conversations where he literally sucked the details of your past out of you. You felt special, thinking that you had found the most attentive listener on the planet. In fact, Machiavelli would applaud this predator. He was conducting deep reconnaissance of the terrain. He inventoried your pain points, your childhood grievances, and your fears of loneliness. You yourself filled his magazine with the cartridges with which he now shoots your self-esteem. Do you feel nausea when he hits the most painful spot using your own revelations against you? This is a physical reminder that in the world of dark psychology, any information is a weapon. Your only defense is information hermeticity. You must become a black box for him from which it is impossible to extract a single emotion. Every secret of yours entrusted to a narcissist is a receipt for your future slavery. An ordinary person in this situation continues to make excuses trying to clarify the situation. A Machiavellian sovereign responds with icy silence. My thoughts are my fortress, and you do not have the keys to its gates. The second mechanism of enslavement is the intermittent reinforcement cycle. The narcissist keeps you on a leash, alternating the dazzling sugar of love with the rusty whip of neglect. You feel your brain literally melting from dopamine spikes. When he is affectionate, you are in heaven. When he is cold, you are in hell. You have turned into a laboratory rat that presses the lever in hope of a drop of juice but receives only electric shocks. Your body is cramped with the spasms of expectation. You cannot sleep, you cannot eat. You live in a state of eternal hunger for his approval. This is biological violence masquerading as passion. Machiavellian self-defense requires the immediate collapse of this cycle. You must stop reacting to his mood swings. When he goes into the cold, you go into the ice, and when he returns with affection, you meet him with indifference. You must show the predator that his sugar has rotted and his whip no longer reaches your skin. The third method is the creation of triangulation traps. A narcissist always introduces a third party into the game to make you bite the dust for his attention. A former partner, a successful colleague, or even a fictional admirer, all these are tools for your devaluation. You feel the poison of jealousy boiling in your veins as you begin to compare yourself to someone else and lose in this fictional battle. This is a classic Machiavellian method of divide and rule. While you fight a competitor for crumbs of the narcissist's attention, he sits on the throne and enjoys his greatness at your expense. Your body reacts to this with a release of cortisol. You feel constant anxiety and a desire to prove that you are better. The Machiavellian answer is a complete exit from the competition. You do not fight for a place in someone else's hierarchy. You are a hierarchy yourself. As soon as you stop noticing triangulation, the narcissist loses power over you. Your arrogant ignoring of any comparisons is a blow to the stomach of his sick ego that he cannot parry. The fourth most base method is the victim-aggressor role swap. The second, you pin him to the wall with irrefutable facts of his lies. He instantly changes his guise. You see his eyes fill with fake tears, how he begins to tremble and accuse you of cruelty. This is emotional terrorism. He projects his own darkness onto you, and you, possessing empathy, begin to feel guilt for defending yourself. You feel physical weakness. You want to apologize and hug him just so this theater ends. But remember the words of Carl Jung about the shadow. A narcissist is a creature that fears its shadow and tries to hide it in your heart. An ordinary person breaks in this phase and asks for forgiveness. A Machiavellian warrior stands with a stone face and does not give him a single drop of sympathy because his tears are just gasoline for his new attack. Your icy response destroys his defense faster than any arguments. Your value to this parasite is a narcissistic resource. Your emotions, your rage, your tears for him, this is food. He does not need your happiness. He needs confirmation that he is capable of causing a storm in you. Your attention is the only thing that proves to him that he exists. The psychology of scarcity here becomes your nuclear shield. As soon as you declare a total embargo on any reactions, his grandiosity begins to collapse. You feel how he escalates in his provocations, how he tries to prick you harder to squeeze out at least a spark of anger. But you must remain a gray rock. You're a boring, flat, uninteresting object on which his teeth break. When the parasite realizes that the host has become toxic and tasteless, he leaves to find another victim. This is not a defeat. This is your full and unconditional victory in a war of attrition. Feel how the knowledge of this mechanics deprives him of magic. Before you saw in him a formidable manipulator, now you see in him a broken script that repeats the same cycles. His predictability is your key to the cell. You no longer feel fear, you feel only cold research interest. You see him open his mouth to lie, and you already know exactly which structure of lies he will choose. Schopenhauer said that understanding is liberation. Your mind is no longer clouded by his gaslighting. You have reclaimed the right to your reality. Your body relaxes, your back straightens, because you no longer carry the weight of his projections. You drop this sack of stones back at his feet. Your path to the final destruction of his influence lies through the complete total devaluation of the figure of the narcissist himself in your head. You must kill even hatred for him in yourself, because hatred is also a form of attention on which he feeds. Machiavelli warned that one must not leave a defeated enemy with hope for a rematch. You must erase him from your reality. Your no contact must be not an act of resentment, but an act of hygiene. He is a blank space, and he is the noise of the wind outside the window that does not concern you. Your silence must become so dense that not a single cry of his can break through it. Feel the cold of your new sovereignty. You did not just survive in this relationship, you went through the fire and came out of it as tempered steel. Your boundaries are now guarded by the legions of your experience. A Machiavellian sovereign knows that power begins with control over oneself. You no longer react, you act. You no longer make excuses, you dictate terms. Your mind is cleared of his poison, and in this vacuum, your true will is born. You cut the puppeteer's strings and left him twitching in the void of his own madness. You are the master of your life, and your throne will never again be occupied by a parasite. Every time you feel the urge to look back, remember this cold in your chest. This is not emptiness, this is your new armor. Your indifference is the highest form of revenge and the highest form of protection. A narcissist does not fear your hatred, he fears your oblivion. So give him what he deserves, full absolute and icy nothingness. Your silence will become his sentence and your freedom his eternal curse. You have stepped out of the labyrinth, you burn the map, and now before you is the endless horizon of your own power, independent of anyone.